She literally began her career at the bottom, scrubbing floors at a salon in England, to where she travelled with her husband. But she moved up fast, studying beauty culture and hairdressing, learning new skills at every corner, and opening her own business upon her return from the UK. She has now seen that small business grow into one of the most recognisable beauty salons in Sri Lanka, opening up multiple branches both here and abroad. ETV Power Women proudly presents Ramani Fernando. Hi and welcome to ETV Power Women. Now you've heard the introduction to our next guest, who actually needs no introduction. She's become synonymous with style and beauty and grace. So Ramani, let me introduce you to everyone at home and welcome you to the show.
Thank you, Minoli.
How are you today?
I'm fine. A little nervous.
A little nervous? Don't be nervous at all. Really, it's just a chat with you and me.
I know. I've been watching you.
Great.
That's fine.
Ramani, I wanted to sort of ask about how you got started in the beauty industry. I know it's quite an interesting story. I believe you had just got married and you were heading out.
Actually, it's quite a long story,
Okay.
if I may say it.
Yeah, please.
It was soon after school, you know, like I always wanted to be in like fashion designing or always interested in this sort of thing from my very young age.
Right.
So when I left school, this is soon after my O-levels, I thought I'll go in for fashion designing, but at that time there was no scope for anything like that.
Okay.
So then I went into hairdressing, which also was a passion in me to meddle with hair.
Yeah.
And I did this course in Sri Lanka, and then in the meantime I met Ranjit and got married also at the, you know, when I was 18 plus kind of. So then I had an opportunity of going overseas, you know. So after this course I thought I knew a lot in hairdressing and all that. Anyway, I went overseas with him. He went on some cricket thing, and so I was like quite aimless at home.
Okay.
And I was staying with his sister, I remember. And so I was just walking down the street and I saw this advertisement asking for a hairdresser. It was quite a small salon down. It was in Harrow on the high street. Okay. So I walked in there and I thought I'll ask for a job. Yeah. So he asked me, there's an old man there, the owner was quite aged kind of man, and then he asked me to sort of do a model and show him what I know. Okay. So he gave me someone in the salon to do a haircut, and I was quite struggling with this haircut, and then he told me, I was very young as well, so he tapped me on my back and said, girl, you got to really learn and come back.
Oh my goodness, that must have been like so deflating.
I can't remember even feeling embarrassed about it. Maybe I was, you know, quite naive and not exposed, and that was my first trip abroad, you know what I mean? So anyway, I then took my bag and I went off, and going down the street, I saw another advertisement in a huge salon wanting juniors. Okay. So I thought, that might suit me better, and I walked in there. So I had a lot of guts, I didn't do all this.
Yeah, no, especially at that age as well.
I know, I was very young as well. So anyway, I went in there, and they took me in as a shampoo girl. Okay. You know? And that was my start, you know. So though I did it in Sri Lanka,
you actually kind of...
Actually, you know, the hairdressing was also at very infancy stage then, you know. So I learned so much being a junior in this place. It was a huge salon, I remember. There were about 25 stylists.
My goodness, so it was massive.
Yeah, and at that time, it was in the early 70s, can you imagine?
Well, so that must have been quite an interesting time, sort of, you know, in the hair industry, because you've just come out of the 60s with all these sort of crazy hairstyles, and people were looking, I guess,
remember my hairstyle. I had like a bob at that time. I used to cut it myself. You know, there weren't like hairdressers that you could go to, and people hardly went to hairdressers at that time. You know, hair was like
just one of those things.
Non-existence at that time. You know, you can't even remember my mom going to the a hairdresser. Okay. So anyway, I don't know how even I was into fashion, and you know, I was like craving to know more about it. I don't know how I got that inspiration. Even. You know, I really, when I think back about it, maybe I only just used to watch maybe the Raga fashions in the newspapers. Okay. You know, that was and there was no TV, there was nothing. You know. So anyway, I went in here and I was there about 8 months, you know, as a junior. But in the meantime, I started blow drying, and also I remember, you know, every customer used to, you know, shampoo give you a tip, and at that time every penny meant counted, you know, a lot, counted. So I used to come home and count my, you know, tips, and I was so thrilled about all that. And so in the meantime, Ranjit was also busy with his cricket assignment, and so it worked out fine. Then I got pregnant, and I remember, you know, feeling really sick.
Right. You had a tough
going to
pregnancy?
work. I had to bus it to work in Harrow. And I used to feel, get off this bus and really, you know, throw up. But still, I had went to work. You know, I was so determined. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed my work there. It was hard work, really, you know, because you're not even allowed to sit around the salon.
You just have to be on the go constantly.
On the go. You're not sort of supposed to sit in front of a customer.
Okay.
So it was very tough for me.
And it must have been hard being pregnant
very hard.
well.
But I just started, you know, like I was about 2 months pregnant. So nobody knew I was pregnant. But I used to feel sick, you know. So anyway, but, you know, the bit of money you're earning, it was all like an encouragement. You know? And then when I came back, I did a few friends, and of course my babies was born then. And the word went round that I was back from London, and maybe at that time it was like Janet was around, Moira's was a big name then. Ramsias had just come into the scene. So, you know, like I used to do, I had a little box room in the house, which it's like an office room now. So I used to do my friends in there. I used to not charge. I used to feel embarrassed to charge money, you know, from my just like that. And I remember Minoli, when I really started charging, I think I used to charge about 20 rupees or something like that.
Wow.
And that was a lot of money, and I really appreciated what I earned, you know, it was my own pocket money kind of thing.
And it must have been such a sense of satisfaction to think, okay, well, you know, I've done something great, and, you know, people want to pay me for this. And,
of course,
and it just gives you that sense of...
I can really cope with the work and with the babies also. So anyway, then this little box room, I had to shift it to the garage. I had to get expand and take in one assistant, you know, and do a little bit of a sort of a sophisticated area. I still use a salon. I'm sure you have been to Elibank.
I think everyone has been to
So I still use it, but of course I have a mezzanine floor and extensions to it now. But first it's at the garage, and I grew from the very bottom, and this is exactly what I want to give my juniors when they join, you know, with the broom, keep the place clean first, shampoo hair, you know,
that's how you learn,
serve tea and coffee, you know, all that is so important in this, you know,
this industry.
So anyway,
I mean, did you ever think, starting from there, from your box room, that you would have 8 salons, franchises in India, Bangladesh? I mean, did you ever think, my goodness?
Never, I never
thought.
It's amazing. And I'm maybe now I'm into really business side of it, but I'm not that much of an ambitious person. I really love to, you know,
love the
create
job.
and do my brides and makeup and cut. I still love to cut hair, you know, color. I love that part still, you know, and I dread the day I won't have any clients to do that kind of still.
I don't think that's ever going to happen somehow.
Anyway, it's a long story, and I can write a book about my story because, and I always tell my staff, you know, you have all the opportunities, you know. I started from the very bottom, but of course, maybe, you know, having Ranjit with me, he was always encouraging me, you know, and of course, then the babies also came along, and I had a lot of support. You know, I must say that. You know,
which is great, which always helps, and you need that.
Of course, yeah.
And I mean, even the beauty culture today has really expanded. Like, I think if you just drive down Colombo, you'll see so many salons have just kind of popped up all over the place. And like you were saying, when you started, it was very much an emerging sort of culture.
Yeah, it was at its infancy, and then it wasn't a profession. You know, this hairdressing, it was just, you know, a home-based kind of thing, and anything went with it. You can just put a chair and a mirror and then start your business. It's not that now. It's
very, very professional.
Very professional. People are aware, people are exposed. You know, we get educated by our clients. You know, they know so much. So we have to be abreast of all that, you know.
And it's constantly evolving. Every day there's a new product.
And also I think I'm proud to say in Sri Lanka, we are aware of what's happening everywhere in the world. I think by the TV and, you know, by travel and all that. People definitely know what's happening, which I didn't know, you know, when I started. I think it was very natural in me too.
You just had it in you.
I always think, how did I sort of get into this? Because my mom was a very sort of a simple lady, you know. Of course, she used to like to dress up, but nothing too much like what women dress now, you know. So I always wanted, and I was also brought up in Kuliapitiya. My father was Crown Proctor in Kuliapitiya. So I was in the boarding, you know, up and down Kuliapitiya, Colombo. That's the exposure we had, you know.
Great. Well, it's fascinating, Ramani. We've got to take a little break now, but don't go anywhere because we're going to have a lot more from the lovely Ramani Fernando. Hi, and welcome back to ETV Power Women. Today we have with us the lovely Ramani Fernando, who's just kind of been telling us a little bit about how she got into this field. And Ramani, what I found very interesting was you were saying, you know, at that time when you first got in, it was very much in its infancy. And I think you've probably taken it to a much sort of greater level, if you like. And you've actually sort of received a lot of awards for that. I mean, you know, I know you got the prestigious Zonta, which is...
yes, really, I think I can proudly say that. Hairdressing, maybe it's not only me, maybe with Ramzi and Naina has done a lot to the industry. With people like us, we have taken it to another level, definitely.
Definitely.
You know, many levels higher than what it was, you know. And it's a very professional sort of, and when you see the salons around now, we have really some really great salons around. So hairdressing, I mean, when you compare it with places like India, I think we are that much ahead of India.
Really?
You know? But that's how even I opened in India, because one of, you know, Prasad Bidappa, he's like a real guru in hairs. When he visited one of my salons, he was like amazed to see how professional we were and what the staff looked like, you know, and that's how he invited me to, you know,
come to India,
come in partnership with him in Bangalore. You know? So I think we should be very, very proud of that. And also I think Sri Lankans are also, I mean, as client base is so, they are so demanding and they are so fashion conscious. So it's and they spend a lot of money, you know.
It's a huge industry. I mean, beauty and hair in this country is
and people
massive.
want to look good. So
which is great.
It's very interesting.
And it must be really rewarding as well when you see people come into the salon, you know, and then you see them leaving looking completely fabulous. It must give you a real sense of...
I think the job satisfaction is, I mean, I can't describe it, you know, when a client is, when a customer is happy. And, you know, it's not only my customers, it's how they come to my staff. And I have like very young, talented people, you know, who are really great. I mean, I learned so much from them, from my staff, you know. And this is like, you know, even without maybe exposure from going abroad, you know, it's in them,
which is great.
It's fantastic, you know.
Which is wonderful.
And also, you know, what the bridal business is like in Sri Lanka. You know, weddings are huge. And when it comes to weddings, how I mean, I think our weddings are beautiful over here, you know, and the way the brides are dressed and all that is so classy. So.
And that again must just be just lovely to see, you know, to know that you've helped these young women look fabulous on, you know, what's probably one of the most important days of their lives. It must really kind of give you this.
It's a lovely job to be in, to be a part of their greatest day. And this sort of thing really hit me when I did my daughter's wedding and my son's wedding. You know, how anxious, being in this industry, we were so anxious about the wedding, you know, about how everything will go well and all that. So now you know what people go through. So I sort of give more attention now, you know, and I think I'm more patient, and I know what
you understand.
I understand it. You know, it's such an important day. It's not only for the bride.
It's for everyone.
It's the whole family. It's a family thing. You know, it's a beautiful thing to be in.
And you know what's also very interesting is a lot of the guests we have on the show have kind of made it in a male-dominated field, where this is. You've got an even mix of both sort of men and women, but it's more of a job. Would you say it's more of a job for women, or it's a fairly...
I think now it's equal. It's 50-50. You can see the guys around
coming into
this profession, and I would say guys are really talented. When they come in, they just don't come in just to.
They're creative, and they
sometimes the girls can come in because
something to do
till they get married or something like that. But the guys, you can be sure they are arty. You know, they have
vision and
they visualize something else when they come in. You know, and they have a lot of talent in there.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's lovely working with the guys. It's fun.
Yeah.
And they're not complicated. It's really nice having the guys around. You know, at the beginning it was a bit strange to start employing the guys, but now I think it's equal.
Very yeah. And you're right. We have a lot of talent in this country. A lot of young talent that's coming up. And I know one of the things that you do is hair shows as well, which is, I guess, where you really get to kind of express your creativity and show people what can be done.
Yes, I have done quite a few mega shows in hair shows and also bridal shows. I work a lot with Michael Vijayasuriya as well. So we have done huge bridal shows. We have done about 150 brides for one show.
Wow.
I think about it, I know how we did it, but we had done it. Okay, and also now we have the academy, I have the Ramani Fernando Sunsilk Academy. So that's another. It's about 6 years old now, and every year we have the graduation, which becomes a huge show. With the graduation, you know, that too is like the whole salon is also involved in it, you know, helping the students to achieve their look and all that. And shows are great, and competitions, another thing. Competitions, I mean, I think it's me who went for an international competition first to Hong Kong, to the Asian hairstyling and makeup competition. And when I went there, I mean, that too was like magical to me. You know, I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't know what the standards were. Actually, I went to take part in it, and I felt, oh gosh, like I could have died, you know, when I saw the competition around me, and I knew nothing like, you know. But
what a learning experience.
It was a great experience because the next year when I went, I knew what to do. I mean, not that I couldn't do what they do, just that I didn't have the exposure for all that sort of thing. I suppose you got to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
So anyway, when I went the second time, I won an outstanding prize for a hairstyle. So that is great.
Wow.
So I mean, that was really something.
Just,
and then from then onwards, I kept on going for this competition and always winning outstanding because the standard was very, very high. And you couldn't beat the Japanese, you know. They were
really, they're just,
oh my God, they're something. They're fantastic.
Which is great because it's kind of opened up this entirely new field for people, if you like. You know, there's so much more than people probably don't realize maybe at home, you know, how many sort of facets and aspects there are to the industry you're in.
True, yeah.
You know?
But only thing, my you know, concern about the industry is it's only, we only need a license for the premises.
Right, you don't have to have a professional license.
No. So that way it can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we are dealing with chemicals.
Yes.
You know, so you need a qualified person. Yeah. If things go wrong, it can be very dangerous. Yeah. You know.
Okay, so that's interesting because I didn't know that.
Yeah, we have been talking, you know, to the authorities about licensing at least this much of years on the floor. Yeah. You know.
Absolutely. And you're right, because
you have a license. That's what they do in England. Yeah. You know. I think 4 years on the floor, and then you are operator. Yeah. But you don't get anything like that here. You know, anyone could do a 6-month course and go and open up a salon.
Which is dangerous. It's very dangerous.
Very dangerous. Yeah. But that way also, there's a lot of education now available. Yeah. You know, all the products that are available in the market, they're having their seminars, and I must say, I mean, I mean, thank God nothing dangerous has happened. Yeah. I mean, there are 1 or 2 cases. It can happen anywhere, right?
And I wanted to ask you actually what it was like. I mean, you touched on Bangalore and working with Prasad, but what was it like to go into Bangladesh? I mean, what's the market like there? Is it completely...
It's amazing, Minoli, if you see the sophisticated women there. You know, it's like either they are really very, very poor or they are filthy rich.
Okay, so there's no kind of middle ground.
There's no middle class. And the salon is so busy there. Yeah. It's, and if you see these women in the evenings, maybe during the day they're all covered up and all that. In the evenings, you know, when they go clubbing and all that, oh my God, they're beautiful women.
Yes,
you know? They're in their, you know, all these Western kind of clothing, short skirts, and they're fabulous. And yeah, it's a different life in the nights they lead. You know,
it's just fascinating, actually.
Funny culture.
Right. Well, we've got to take another little break. Don't go anywhere because it is a very short break, and we're going to be back with more from the lovely Ramani Fernando.